Hey guys, so since JJK is currently airing, I thought it would be imperative of me to milk as much as I can out of that. It doesn't help that I'm starting my long-awaited big projects, which consists of me talking about things for 3 hours instead of 10 minutes. So basically, I gotta throw in some filler content in the meanwhile, I gotta keep feeding the fire or else I won't be able to drop out of college and fulfill my dream of spending the rest of my life streaming Pokemon Nuzlocke and Fire Emblem. Anyways, yeah, there will be spoilers for like all of Jujutsu Kaisen in this video. Not that most of you seem to care anyways. I know half of you freaks out there keeping up with the leaks haven't even finished season 1. I know being able to enjoy anime slash manga like that is called preferred way of experiencing media, but since it's different from how I enjoy it, I call it dysfunctional mapping of the brain. So what is JJK about? Idly indulging in a basic paranormal activity with their cool club. High schooler Jujutsu always spends his day at the eater. Oh my god, who has time to read that shit? Look, here's what you need to know. It's ripping off of Bleach and Naruto. And also Hunter x Hunter. But only in the Shibuya arc. And maybe later. So basically, our titular character, Yuji Itadori, full name Yuji Itadori Jujutsu Kaisen, is really strong. And people seem to think that's not weird enough to alert like the UN. Whatever. He eats a finger and then a demon named Sukuna comes inside him and Yuji is conveniently the only one who can contain him. So yeah, shonen stuff happens, he makes friends, goes to battle shonen school and learns the way of his predecessors. Except no, because JJK is like a bait and switch. Kinda. People start dying and shit goes dark. Darker than anything in all those other kiddie shonens. You can't even tell who the villains are anymore. Look, they have dark shading on them. They must be evil. Guys, I think that if you show JJK to a random person, they wouldn't even be able to tell who the villains are. Like, they'll probably think that Jogo's a good guy, like, even though he's not. Okay, I've spent enough time being a shitter. So JJK already established itself as being dark in JJK 0, kinda. But no one read that, so they just waited for the movie. The story tried to present itself as dark, but not much truly dark stuff happens up until like Junpei dies. And no one gives a shit about Junpei. But then hidden inventory happens. And then it's like, whoa, that was pretty crazy. And then Shibuya arc happens and it's like, whoa.
Lois, this is not my Batman glass.
I don't usually say a story gets better at X amount of episodes / chapters in. Because that's like heresy, and if a show is good, it's good from the start. But like JJK really starts to show itself from hidden inventory arc and onward. Not to say that there aren't good or even great moments in the previous arcs. But there's a reason there's an arc called The Culling Games. There's a lot of fluff that's there to make the story seem more normal before it all gets sheared and we see the core of what makes JJK special. The only reason I started reading the manga after disregarding it for the longest was because I learned that Nombara died. That's some gangster shit. I'm a real fucking sadist in case you can't tell. I'm desperate for stories with actual stakes, like the no plot armor type shit that people use on fucking Attack on Titan because they killed a bunch of background characters in the beginning. You're actually 10 years old if you thought those characters were gonna build to something. Alright, so basic plot summary overview so far. Yuji and Sukuna have a dapper meetup after his friends get attacked. He then goes to Jutsu High to train but then dies on his first mission. He then gets revived and goes on to train secretly with Nanami until that doesn't go well. Then we move on towards a tournament arc that gets hijacked halfway, wow, big surprise. And then we get a lot of cool fights. The best part of this arc is when we learn that Yuta is him because he single-handedly fought off the entire Kyoto school. Then that's over with and we move on to the little mini arc where the main trial actually acts like one for the first time. 20 episodes in, 60 chapters in. It's pretty cool, I guess. Then we stop looking at all this lame shit and enter one of the strongest runs in manga with hidden inventory arc and Shibuya right after it. It's all balls to the walls. Gojo has finally made a good character. Toji's an awesome villain. Nobara gets fucking wasted. Nanami gets fucking wasted. Mahito shows us his Jujutsu Kaisen and Yuji finally has good character moments. Blah blah blah. Then Culling Games. Who gives a fuck about the Culling Games? Gojo versus Sukuna happens. This shit goes stupid. And now we are where we are now. Overall, it's a pretty decent plot, makes sure all the fights are contextualized somewhat, which is good. Goes without saying, but JJK has some of the best fights in all of manga period, and those fights only get better as the show goes on because we get to learn more about curse energy. I don't know if having an entire chapter and a gigantic amount of cut-ins explaining what the fuck is going on during Gojo vs Sukuna is the most optimal way to do it, but I mean, hey, people like it, so I guess it works. And also JJK has some pretty good characters. My favorite characters are Yuta, Gojo, Mahito, and Toro. Honorable mentions to Sukuna and Maki. As you can see, neither of those characters are Yuji, Megumi, or Nobara. That's because they suck. Okay, but real talk, they just don't interest me a whole lot. Megumi had stuff going for him and it was pretty cool, but his personality didn't really entertain me. Then you got Sukuna, and that's the end of that. Yuji is also a fair bit milquetoast to me, but it works for like, less story. I do really like his fights though. The first time he fights Mahito and he just grabs onto the spikes to close in on him and then proceeds to headbutt the shit out of him, that's cool. And also this scene. He has a lot of good moments, but that's partially because they have characters I like more in them. In terms of personality, much like Megumi, he was just pretty bland to me. Nobara, on the other hand, is just wasted potential. I say that even though I really liked what her death did for the story. So anyways, instead of talking about the important characters of this story, like my other reviews, let's instead talk about the greatest character in all of fiction, Mahito. I have chapter 125 bookmarked just to reread the chapter where he kills Nobara and shits on Yuji over and over again. My goal is not to be trifled with. Sick ass design and character concept. The other disaster curses are like actual disasters, whereas Mahito is just the representation of humanity's evil. Humans are the real disasters. He has a very basic but cool power because shapeshifting, it makes his scenes very expressive. I just like how evil he is. There aren't a lot of villains out there who are as cruel and as competent as Mahito. It gives him an incredibly commanding presence. While Yuji was fucking sobbing and crying over Nobara, having his fucking "oh my friend died" moment, Mahito felt so fucking good that he went up to him and black flashed him. Such a great moment. Anyways, moving on to Gojo. I used to not like him because he was popular, and also I just hate overpowered characters with no real weaknesses. However, during Hidden Inventory arc, we see a lot about Gojo and learn more about why he is the way he is and what he represents, which is all really cool and made me like him. He really was worth the hype. Yuta is also another GOAT, but I already talked about him before in my plans for JJK. All in all, JJK has built itself a pretty solid cast, but it lacks in interesting dynamics to me for the most part. Art good. I have like 70% of the pages saved to my gallery just to look at them over and over again. Being very good at hands and constantly trying to flex that is like a thing these new mangakas like to do, and it looks pretty rad. He's no god of paneling like my brother Fujimoto over here, but in exchange, he makes some good ass action choreography, and character design, and 2-page spreads. Yeah. As always, I wish mangakas would insert their coloring style into manga. I know that would be a logistical nightmare and they throw it out for a reason and they use black and white to its strengths, but like, a man can dream, Having hollow purple be not purple is pretty tough. JJK is my money laundering front. I have connections all around the world, and the only way for them to make their money was under Irega Studio Incorporated at a 10% share. Life's pretty good right now. I totally don't need this video and all my other videos to get bajillion views and likes and comments and subscribers. I'm good, 100%.